Good afternoon and welcome to another live, really, I guess, of the Learn More. And today we are talking about Tapestry Crochet. I am being joined by the fabulous Jade from Jaded Crafts Creations, who's going to be joining me in a few moments. But first and foremost, a huge welcome. Do let me know in the comments box where you are watching today, or if you're catching up on the replay, you can post that as well. I would love to know where you all are based. So today we are being joined by Jade because she's our featured designer in the Spring Exclusives event. So her pattern today is the Boss Babe wall hanging. I'm a bit of a fan of Jade generally, so if I start fangirling, I apologise. She's a very amazing designer, and I need to know more. I don't know about you, but I want to learn more all about this tapestry crochet technique so that we can introduce that into our skills as a crocheter as well. So I'm just going to add Jade in. And there she is. That was nice of me. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am very well. Oh, love it. So we have your beautiful tapestry crochet wall hanging behind you.
I'm sorry, I'm wearing my partner's earbuds and they're a little bit big for me. And I'm also getting over a cold, so I apologize if I sound stuffy.
You're fine. Don't worry. You sound amazing. I can hear you, which is always a bonus. So today I've just explained that we want to know more about tapestry crochet generally, and learn some of your top tips and tricks, because you are, shall we say, in my mind, a prolific tapestry crocheter, because a lot of your designs feature this technique, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where you're talking, you're using that tapestry crochet. So can you give us a bit more information about how tapestry crochet, what it is and how we use it?
Sure. So tapestry crochet is actually, it's just single crochet. And all you're doing is working over the strand of yarn that you're not using. So it's really quite simple. It just takes a little bit of practice to get that hold, right? The tension of your yarn. Yeah, but it's very simple once you get the hang of changing colors, which is, I have a video on my YouTube that kind of walks you through all the beginner steps of tapestry crochet. So if you're interested in learning, I would suggest doing that. You can make a little tree sampler and it'll go through kind of everything, and including just like changing between one stitch of a color. So you don't even finish that. It's like a half stitch essentially, but it'll walk you through all of those things. So you get a lot of practice just in that one little sampler.
Wonderful. So I've linked your YouTube channel below where they can find that.
Oh, awesome.
Well, find your channel and then find that video from you as well, which takes someone through all of those basics as well. Mm-hmm. So now, ultimately, tapestry crochet is just, shall we say, another way of changing color in your work, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I think it's another way. There's tapestry crochet, and then there's, I think it's called intarsia. I don't know if I'm saying that properly. And the only
I say Instasia, but I don't know what's right.
Oh, okay. I usually read things very phonetically. So. In that one, instead of carrying the yarn, you're dropping the yarn. So you're using your right side and wrong side, and you leave that yarn hanging on your wrong side. So I think tapestry crochet is a little bit neater in the fact that you don't have all these ends. But some people think that the intarsia is cleaner, I guess, is the way to say it. So like, I'll show you here. You can kind of see that yarn that you're carrying in the back, right? You can see that black poking through. So if you were doing intarsia, you wouldn't see that at all. So
I would just think that was hold. So yeah, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from. So with Instasia, you just work one color at a time. You change color, cut the yarn, and carry on.
Yeah, or you can just leave it hanging, and then when you need it again, you grab it.
Later.
Yeah.
Whereas with tapestry crochet,
I think that that's a little bit more fiddly. So if you're not, like if you're more of a beginner, then I would start with tapestry crochet over intarsia.
I would say the opposite, but I think it's what you're used to doing, because now obviously when I first ever met you before, I think we did a live on Instagram, and I was like, well, how do you make it so neat? Because the idea of with tapestry crochet, you're carrying that both colors all the time. That's one of your, I know what's going to be one of your top tips is don't wait until your first color change. Work over the secondary color from the beginning, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, you start right from the very first row and you carry it all the way to the last row. And that just keeps it looking very consistent with that yarn poking through the back. If you don't do that, you'll have this chunk in the middle where you can see the other yarn poking through, and then on the top and bottoms you might not. And it just, I don't think it looks very consistent. I'm very much a perfectionist, so I have some issues with that. I'm trying to let go a little bit.
It is, I think, yeah, perfectionism. I think with crochet you have to let it go, because there's always going to be something that's not quite perfect. But I love that. I mean, when you first told me that kind of made more sense to me about the tapestry technique, is that just do it from the very beginning, because I'd done previous tapestry patterns without knowing what they were. When I first ever was learning, I was like, this looks awful. Obviously,
that's what I thought with my first tapestry as well. Like, this is ugly.
So I think the idea of actually taking that both colors, or however many colors you're working in that row, starting it from the beginning of the pattern until you make that first color change, really does make a huge difference. So the other term that people tend to get a bit confused, because they do lump all of these different color work techniques together, would be Fair Isle, which is obviously a knitting technique.
Yes.
And that is,
I don't know if that's similar or not.
It's the same as Instasha. It's just a different, it's similar to Instasha, but they have floats behind it. So
okay.
If you, if I I cleverly hung my pattern up, you can't see it.
So Fair Isle would be, okay.
So you see how, like, this is carried, and then just sealed in and kind of neatly hidden. It just makes, you get your color changes exactly the same as you would for any other technique. This is what I would consider as Instasha, as opposed to Fair Isle.
I would too.
Same kind of thing. But it's just because people get those, these terms get bandied around, don't they? And I think knowledge is power. So yes.
For sure,
So tell me more about today's pattern that's in the Spring Exclusives event. If you haven't, I'm going to just tell everyone to go and check out the event, because obviously they can get a copy today, which is Friday the 25th of March. They can grab your copy of the Boss Babe wall hanging with 50% off using the coupon code that's linked below in the description box. So tell us more about the inspiration behind today's pattern.
Well, I kind of created this a little while ago, but right now I'm using it as inspiration to just keep me motivated and keep me, I guess, motivated to just grow my Instagram account after it got hacked, and now I'm starting all over again. And just trying to be true to myself and just live for me.
I mean, I was doing some research, because that's just who I am, about the term Boss Babe, and it has a lot of negative connotations with being associated with MLMs. So I really feel that people are kind of taking ownership back of that phrase, Boss Babe, because I think it's something that a lot of female entrepreneurs do want to feel, that I am a boss babe, I am running my own business, I am living my best life. And I think it's something we should be taking back. And I love
absolutely. And I don't think, like, in my blog post it says this as well, but I don't think that it should be limited to just women, just females. Anybody can be a babe. Anybody can be a boss babe if that's how you identify. Like, it shouldn't just be for women. That's, a
babe is a babe.
Yeah, right? Anybody can be a babe.
Definitely. I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, I thought that was kind of, when I was looking, I was like, I know what she's done. She's taking this word back. She's taking it back and owning it. And I love that.
I know. I felt that there was some negativity around that as well. But I don't care. Honestly.
It is an inspirational message. And definitely someone like yourself who's running a family, a household, a business, everything else you've got going on in your life, it is really inspirational when you're so successful.
Yeah, I find it inspirational, and I hope that other people do too. And if you view it negatively, that's unfortunate, I guess. But and this pattern's not for you, then that's okay.
Yes, it is. I like that. I like that a lot. So you've got your Boss Babe featuring today, but this is a second pattern you featured in the Spring Exclusives event.
Yes. Yeah, I am so lucky to have 2 in this event. It's just
I feel
crazy.
lucky to have been able to feature you twice. I mean, goodness. And I am absolutely, I mean, obviously, when people saw that pattern initially that you were sharing, the Get Naked bath mat, I was like that, like dumbfounded, like.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had that idea. I think I have had it for like over a year, and it was your Spring Exclusives event that really just pushed me to finally do it, find the right yarn, and just create it.
Make it happen. Yes, definitely. I do find that these kind of crochet events where we are kind of, especially the amount of kind of co-working that we do around these events, really kind of make me stop and think, oh, I need to just kind of, have a rethink and up my game a little bit. It certainly makes me.
I think that collaborative of everybody coming together and just putting out their best work is really it's motivating for me, again, to just like kind of up the bar of what I want to create.
Same, completely the same. And in case anyone didn't know, there is a pattern bundle available with the Spring Collection 22.
Both.
The Spring Exclusives Collection 2022. There is a link for that in the description as well, where you can get all 25 patterns that were featured in the event. I love how you're just so calm and letting me do my
yes, you sell it, babe.
They're going to have 2 of your Tapestry Crochet patterns in that bundle straight away. Yeah. Incredibly lucky.
And really, for the price of $18 for all of the patterns, mine comes in at over $14 for both. So, I mean, you're getting a steal of a deal if you're getting all those patterns.
Yes. Now, obviously, that price is only available up until 8 a.m. on Saturday, the 26th of March. That's GMT. But the bundle will still be available, just unfortunately not at that heavily discounted rate. But even with that price, they're still going to get a bit of a bargain with those 2 patterns alone.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Good. So we've already talked about how they should be carrying their work from the absolute beginning. What else do we need to be doing to make our tapestry crochet look brilliant?
So when you're stitching, you really want to watch that yarn that you're carrying. So sometimes it can get loose while you're crocheting, and you can have these kind of like almost loop of a yarn hanging there. And you really just want to, what I like to do is your last working stitch of the opposite color, you'll pinch that stitch and then you pull on that contrast color yarn, and that'll really help. You're holding that stitch so you're not tightening it too much, and then you're pulling that yarn so that it's nice and taut, so you're not having anything peek through there.
Kind of coming through the other end. There's nothing worse than you turn your work and you're like,
yeah, exactly. The biggest tip would be always watch your right side, because that's the one that you're showing off, right? So if you have a couple of loose yarns on your back side or your wrong side, no worries, right? That's facing the wall. So I just try to be really careful with my right side and just make sure I don't have anything showing through there.
So have you ever made a tapestry design that is reversible, or is that a whole other level?
Well, actually, it is reversible. Well, not really, because when you reverse it, it's backwards.
Wow! So
it still looks pretty good on the back, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Well, wholeheartedly. Yeah, it really does.
I think if you were doing something that wasn't writing, like it was just a picture or something, totally reversible.
Good.
If you were watching your colors. Your only thing would be like the yarn you're carrying on the side, but even that is not really showing through. So
you've done a little edge around it to kind of bury it in as well.
Yeah, I always recommend to do a single crochet border around the outside, and that just really helps to get nice clean edges, keep everything all together, really ties it all in.
Good. See, another little top tip there, just slipped that in without even knowing. So I know that obviously because we're carrying that extra yarn, you're working over additional yarn. Does that affect the gauge of a pattern, or do you have to work in a particular way?
It will. So it'll be a little bit thicker than just carrying one strand of yarn. So if you were to, you can use my patterns because everything comes with a chart, comes with written everything out. You could do it as an intarsia if you wanted to. But that would change your gauge a little bit, obviously. So if you were to do it intarsia, it would turn out a little bit smaller than this because you're carrying those 2 strands of yarn all the way.
Mm-hmm. But would you say that you need to work your stitches more tight than normal? Or?
I'm a fairly loose crocheter, but I take my hook size down. So I think for an Aran yarn like that, they want you to use like a 5 or a 5.5 crochet hook, and I use a 4 to 4.5. So you do want it to be a little bit tighter, I think, just so it helps not show as much of that contrast yarn through the back.
So that is quite interesting because I hadn't even thought about having to go down a hook size as well, just to kind of make sure that really is hidden. So that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're following a pattern like your own, just kind of, you've already written in the gauge based on the hook size and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, and really, like, it's not the end of the world if you don't meet gauge. I know lots of people don't like to make a gauge swatch. That's totally fine. I have that written in my patterns. Not important. Like, if you just want to start, just go for it, man. It might not turn out the exact size as mine, but that's okay.
It's still going to be finished, and it's still going to have to hang up, and that is the main thing, most definitely. So you've mentioned that you do both a written pattern and a graph. So is this kind of verging into that Graphgan style territory?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I think it would be like we use the same programs probably to create that kind of style. And then the Graphgads, they can be made in single crochet. Lots of people do them in corner to corner. But you could use the chart for that as well if you wanted to. I just don't have the instructions written that way.
No, but do you have like a stitch chart or just a written pattern?
So there's a written pattern, and then there's I didn't even bring it with me, but it'll be like it looks like graph paper, and it has the design on it, and it has rows and the stitch numbers and everything. So I find it's nice, like if you're stitching and something's not quite looking right and you're like, what is going on? Sometimes it helps to look at the picture and see, oh, maybe I missed a stitch or I skipped a row, or I don't know. But I find that it's helpful to have them both while you're working.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. And for me, I don't like pulling out my work unless I really have to. So I just kind of mark off as I go along. Like, I've done that one, done that one, done that one.
That is another big tip of mine would be cross everything off as you're going. So sometimes you just you don't want to stop your hands. You don't want to stop crocheting, but it's really important, especially if you're working on a larger project like a blanket, like something that's 100 stitches wide or something. You really want to pay attention because if you make a mistake and you pull that all back, it's so sad. So I will do it says CC2, MC4. I'll do the CC2 and cross that off. I'll maybe do the MC4 and then look at my next what my next contrast is, and maybe only cross off my contrast or maybe only my main colors, but just making sure that you're really keeping track, and then finish the row, mark that off.
Don't repeat them, because that's where it all goes horribly wrong, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I've had one of my testers doing the mountain wrap forgot to cross off a line and redid it, and the stitch was backwards, and she's like, what is going on?
The mountains were over here and over there all at the same time.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big tip, is just keep yourself organized. It takes longer, obviously. It's not just something where you just sit and watch Netflix and just crochet your little heart out. I usually have to sit at the kitchen table and pay attention to what I'm doing.
It's funny you mentioned that. I emailed out to my newsletter a couple of, it might be a week and a half ago, and I was kind of saying, we kind of crochet for different reasons. Like sometimes we want to just kind of get absorbed into a pattern and not have to think about it. And for me, tapestry is the way forward when it comes to getting so involved in a pattern that all you can concentrate on is the number of stitches that you're doing.
Yeah. It's not something I can work on at night. It's something that I'll work on in the morning, through the day sometimes. But if my brain is too tired, I just can't, because I'll read my pattern wrong, I'll miscount stitches, and then the next day you're restarting whatever you did, right? So I love to have things like, right now I'm working on a test project, and that's my evening time project. It's already, it's a sweater, so it's basic repeats, and I just, stitch while I relax. So yeah, it's interesting that we have.
I'm looking for testers if people want to find something that's going to take their mind off of things, so feel free.
That's what I love about testing is I don't have to use my brain as much, right? Like they've already done all that work. They've already done all the math. I'm just checking it out. I'm just making sure that it's all good, and I just stitch.
My testers probably wouldn't agree with that, unfortunately, but yes, in theory, we've worked it all out.
That's why we test, though, right? Yeah. Not everything it's not going to be perfect the first time, and that's exactly why we put it out to test, so that it's perfect when it's ready.
Yes. So are there any other top tips that we need to know before we go and grab our copy of the Boss Babe wall hanging pattern? What do we need to know? Can a beginner do it?
One other tip I would suggest for when you're done your wall hanging is to block it. I know that is a step that lots of people feel maybe overwhelmed by, or just like, oh, I just want to hang it up. I'm done. I already stitched it. But I promise that it looks so much better, so much cleaner, hangs straight when it's blocked.
I invested in it is a steamer.
Oh, nice.
I hate blocking so much. I hate leaving stuff hanging around. So I don't have to wet it. I can just steam it and walk away, and it'll be dry in 10 minutes and blocked.
Oh, I like that. See, I have a spray bottle and a foam mat and my pins, and I measure everything.
I know. And well, I'm going to be talking about blocking on Tuesday, I think it is. I've got a pattern that's coming out or being part of a different event on Monday, and people will be able to get a free download for that, but it needs to be blocked. So I'm going to have a bit of a focus on blocking next week, because it is that step that lots of people like to skip.
It is. And I think when you're a beginner, like I know I felt overwhelmed when somebody was like, it needs to be blocked. I'm like, okay, well, I can't make this pattern because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But it's something I think, if you're going to give them a little tutorial on how to do that. I have a small tutorial on my YouTube as well for how to wet block and how I set my tapestries and blankets and stuff. It's a little more time consuming than the steamer, obviously.
Well, to be fair, you've still got to do all the other steps. It's just you don't have to wait too long for it to dry. That's the only joy of it.
Okay. Yeah, I just mine, even in the instructions, I think it says just leave till dry, but it's usually overnight for me.
Yes. I'll see sometimes mine can take like 2 days, which is really, I just haven't got time for that. So, I'm just very, I just don't have time. Have to get it done.
No, I totally understand. Yeah.
Well, I want to say a huge thank you for joining me this afternoon, Jade.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And I can't wait until the summer exclusives, because obviously today is the last day of our spring exclusives. I know that many of us are already moving on to working on our next designs for the next exclusive event, which starts on the 1st of June. I can tell you that now already. Oh, no, it doesn't. Sorry, the 15th of June. That's my fault. I must update my own brain. And we're going to be having another multitude of amazing designers offering some seriously amazing premium designs. Now, if you are watching this on Friday, the 25th of March, don't forget you can get a copy of Jade's Boss Babe wall hanging for 50% off using the coupon code at the Spring Exclusives link. Or you can get yourself a copy of the Spring Exclusive bundle for just $18 today, and then it's going to go up as of Saturday, the 26th of March. Oh, that was a lot.
Got it.
We ticked the box. We checked everything off. So seriously, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Because there's so much more I need to pick your brain about. I want to talk about your inspiration at some point as well. Because
absolutely.
I like to know what goes on in people's brains. So
Oh, I don't know if you're ready for mine.
that's why I talk to other people, so I don't have to share what goes on in my head, because it's a mess up there, I can tell
Well,
you.
I think you're similar to me, where our brains just never stop, right?
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am literally about to go from here and go to work until for this evening. So that's
Oh
great. I
gosh.
love it. Got to keep busy. Got to keep busy.
Well, I'm glad we got to have a nice chat before
Me
you go off to work.
too. Me too. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for checking in and watching with us today.
Thanks,
Let me know in the
everyone.
comments if you're going to go and try some tapestry crochet. Don't forget you can check out Jade's channel, where there is a full tutorial on how to make your very own. I think it's a coaster with a little tree on it. Am I right? The little
I mean,
what?
it could be a coaster.
Let's call it a coaster.
It's a little square with a tree on it.
So you can get practicing those tapestry crochet techniques. And we'll be back again soon for another Learn About crochet technique very soon.
Yeah, I think maybe next time we could talk about, like, maybe if you want to start designing tapestry crochet or something.
That would be good. Yes, that's going to be a little bit later in the year, but we'll come back to that most definitely.
Okay.
Okay. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.